Hello, this is Dale, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to make nearly perfect microwave popcorn, maybe a different way. Of course, you know about the bags, and all the talk is about how it's not the best, the way they oil it and everything. Well, that's okay. If you like that, great. But my way is using out of the bag, off the farm, bulk, whatever, popcorn. It seems to be, well, of course, it seems to be the best. The way I got into popcorn was my dad did it way before I was born, during the war and everything. Of course, he was an iron skillet popcorn kind of guy, and I never could get that down. I'm not that good at iron skillet popcorn or pan or saucepan popcorn either. I have to use a microwave kind of thing that I found out that's the best. Also, when I was in college, my roommate, his parents owned a popcorn farm in Bucyrus, Ohio. And so he would bring in bushels of popcorn on the ear, and we would grind it off of the ear and pop it that way. So that was really a good way. I really did get into popcorn into the varieties. There are, as you know, there are so many different varieties. I'm from the Midwest, and of course the Midwest has phenomenal popcorn from all the Amish farms and everywhere else, all the way from Pennsylvania through Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Great popcorn. You can get it in bulk, all the different varieties. I used to have like a ton of them, like 7 different varieties at one time, but now I'm just down to a couple few favorites. And of course there are, besides the varieties of popcorns, there's different kinds of popcorn. We're all familiar with the butterfly, which is the kind that just goes pop and it looks like this. And then there's a kind that's mushroom, which does this, and that's really good for caramel or cheese popcorn. That's the kind you get out of those cool places in Chicago. Really awesome, because it doesn't flake off when they're stirring up all the caramel or the cheese. But what I've got, there's 3 that I want to talk about now. One, it's really kind of fun. It's actually the smallest one. It's called Ladyfinger, and the reason is it's really tiny. And the nice thing about it, it's really tender. You still cook it the same way that I'm going to show you, but it's so small that you have a hard time eating it with your fingers. So what I end up doing is putting it into a cup and just sort of chugging the popcorn. That's the easiest way with Ladyfinger. It's that small, so tender, so good. It's like a gourmet version. Of course, there are all kinds of color ones. This happens to be I don't know which one it is, but it's red. Obviously, these don't pop up red. They pop up white, but the shell is this. They've got all kinds of varieties from blues and reds and purples. And it's really cool. Look at that. Really pretty, right? That red stuff. Experiment. Buy all kinds of flavors. It's really kind of cool. But what I found, my favorite popcorn to date now is actually, oh, I took the label off. It's Pop Secret, and it's the extra large Pop Secret. And besides it being the official popcorn of Walt Disney World, it is really good. It's always popped right. It's always popped big. So this is my favorite. Now, you may have seen that I'm pulling this out of the freezer. That's a trick that I've been doing for, decades, actually. I found out that keeping it in the freezer makes it pop, I don't know, just crisper. Because you got to remember, you know what the whole thing about popcorn is? The reason it pops is because there's moisture in it, and when it heats up, it goes, pow, okay? So why not keep the moisture in by keeping it in your freezer? I also found out that after you pop it, you can keep it in the freezer, and it keeps it longer too. Or if you get store-bought popcorn or from a popcorn shop or something, stick it in the freezer and it sort of retains its crispness. So this is the popcorn I use. Okay, now, as for which unit I use to pop it in, I mean, you see recipes about popping it in paper bags and places and things like that. And I've tried all the different ones at the store, from the kind that you put the little butter in the little pad at the bottom, and you have the things that are on top of the drizzled down. And I've had the one on the stove where you crank it, which is really, that was a pretty good one. That one I did for a long time. But the one I like the most is this one. This is actually, and here's your tag, it's a Nordic ware Did I right side up? Yeah. It's Nordic Ware, and it's like less than $9. So it's a microwave popcorn popper. It's got this for a lid. It's awesome. It's less than $9. It's great. It's never failed me. Nice thing about it is you can do dry, you can do oil, and you can do butter in there too. The only thing is, I'm not crazy about the lid. It's sort of got a little wilty after a while. This is actually a brand new one now, but it got a little bit of sag to it. So I use an old lid, an old microwave lid that I've had for decades, and I use that on top. So now, getting down to popping. Okay, everybody has their own way. My tried, true, tested way is this. I like buttered popcorn, but I've never really had good luck with pouring it melted on top because, I don't know, it just gets soggy and some gets covered and some doesn't. And, I've not been good at that. So what I do is I take regular old stick margarine. Now, you can't use light stick margarine because there's so much water in it that it splatters everywhere. It's no good. You can't use butter because it burns. You can use a little bit of a mixture of butter and margarine, but this is by itself is good. So I just take old, like Blue Bonnet, cheap old stuff, and cut it in half. So that gives me 4 tablespoons. 4 tablespoons. My Nordic Ware popcorn popping bowl. Stick it in there. Put my lid on top. This is before I put the popcorn in. Stick it in the microwave for 45 seconds. And the reason is it just, well, you know, what's margarine? It's oil, right? Vegetable oil. So it's basically the same thing as using oil, but what's going to happen, it's going to put a better flavor over the whole popcorn bowl instead of having to go back later. That's what I discovered. That's what I really like. Okay, now for popcorn, usually a 1/3 cup. Now the nice thing about this Pop Secret stuff is their lid is a 1/3 cup. So you just pour it up to that first line, wait for your margarine to melt down, have a sip of wine. And, okay. I can't really show you because it's melted butter or melted margarine, but I just pour the stuff in, but then I shake it up a little bit so that it totally coats the popcorn, the cold frozen popcorn. It's not thawed. And then the best timing is about 4:30 or 4:40. So 4:40 start. And I'll let it go, and I know you're not going to want to stick around for that kind of time, so we'll just put my Twilight Zone speed time on for now, okay? All right, we're back. Popping is almost done. In fact, a little bit early. Maybe it's because I got that new popper in there. Okay, so I'm going to stop at 4 minutes and we'll see what happens. Okay, should be ready. Get your hot pads that your kids made for you or you made when you were a kid. They're good. Get popcorn out. Okay, looking good. See? All right. Okay, you know you don't want to put on too much salt. So, you know, try different ways, see what you like. I only put a little bit on. And then if you really are fancy, pour it into another bowl. Makes it pretty. Look at that orange bowl. This is really good. I mean, it's just, it's the right amount of butter for me, or butter flavor from the margarine. You know, you might want to try a little bit more. You might want, you probably want to do a little less by putting a 1 tablespoon in instead of 4, but it's pretty good. So this is it. This is my favorite way of doing popcorn after years and years and years of study. So thanks for watching. This is Dale. Bye-bye. Popcorn, well, corn itself has to be one of the most perfect vegetables because look at the stuff you get out of it. This awesome popcorn, corn chowder, corn corn on the cob, all kinds of recipes, and of course, whiskey that comes out of corn. And what you do is you want to match that up with maybe the perfect fruit, which has to be a grape. You got raisins, you got really good sweet grapes. Cut them up and put them in stuff. Grape juice is really good, but of course, the perfect grape elixir. Popcorn and wine, you can't go wrong, right? Okay, thanks. Okay, I want to tell you this is another side note. I want to tell you the real history of how popcorn got discovered in America. You know, a lot of people think, okay, talking about the Pilgrims and the Indians bringing the corn and whatever, fall into the fire, who knows, and started popping. Nah, I don't think so. I think what really happened was when the first aliens came to Earth and all the jets coming down when they were landing in a field of corn, and obviously all the popcorn popped, and so they got out, and of course they were famished, they went a long way, and so there you go, they had popcorn, and I think that's how it started, don't you? Thanks.